Alexandria Lawrence, and today my informational speech will be on Eleanor of Aquitaine. I am a descendant of Eleanor of Aquitaine, and I believe she was a very powerful woman who knew exactly what she wanted, even though she had two marriages and both of them basically failed. However, that was also her downfall, as she was then imprisoned by one of her husbands for several years. She also had several children, and I am a descendant of John instead of Richard. And yes, this is Richard the Lionheart and John, also known as people from Robin Hood. Um, and so, um, let us move on to the body of the speech. I will be discussing Eleanor of Aquitaine's early life, middle life, and her death. Eleanor of Aquitaine was born in France, also known as southern France, in the year 1122. Nobody exactly knew when she was born, so 1122 roughly. She was well educated by her cultured father, William the Tenth, I believe, Duke of Aquitaine, thoroughly versed in literature, philosophy, and languages. And she was trained to the vigors of court life when she became her father's heir presumptive at age 5. She was an avid horsewoman who led an active lifestyle until she inherited her father's title and extensive lands upon his death at age 15. She was then placed under the guardianship of the King of France, and within hours was betrothed to his son, Prince Louis. And he literally sent 500 men to escort her and convey the good news to her. Actually, did you know that Eleanor of Aquitaine is said to be responsible for the introduction of built-in fireplaces, first used when she renovated the palace of her first husband, Louis, in Paris, due to the fact that she did not realize it was going to be so cold. Louis and Eleanor were married in July 1137, but they had little time to actually get to know each other before Louis's father fell ill and died. After several fraught years, Eleanor really badly wanted an annulment of their marriage, and so they were finally granted it based on the grounds of consanguinity in 1152 and separated. However, their two daughters were then placed under the supervision of the king, as women did not necessarily own basically anything. Within 2 months of her annulment, after fighting off several attempts of marriage proposals and so on to high-ranking French noblemen, Eleanor married Henry, Count of Anjou and Duke of Normandy. She had been rumored to have had an affair with her new husband's father, which today would be gross, but back then it was actually fairly common. Henry and Eleanor were crowned King and Queen of England after Henry's accession to the English throne after the death of King Stephen. In 1173, Eleanor's son, young Henry, fled to France, apparently to plot against his father and gain the English throne, and Eleanor was rumored to be actively supporting her son's plans. And this would be treason, and she was imprisoned for it. Once apprehended, she spent the next 16 years shuttled between various castles and strongholds in England, suspected of agitating against her husband's interests and playing a role in the death of his favorite mistress, Rosamond. After years of rebellion and revolt, young Henry finally succumbed to disease in 1183, and upon his deathbed, begged for his mother's release. Henry released her under guard to allow her to return to England in 1184, and she rejoined his household at least for part of each year, joining him on solemn occasions and resuming some of her ceremonial duties as queen. Now, I don't know about you, but if my husband were to ever do that, I would probably be part of the role to murder his mistress as well. Now, coming to the end of Eleanor's life, Henry II died in July 1189, and their son Richard succeeded him. One of his first acts was to free his mother from prison and restore her to full freedom. Eleanor ruled as regent in Richard's name while he took over for his father in leading the Third Crusade. And then Richard died in 1199, and John was crowned king, unfortunately. And she retired as a nun in Fontevraud, where she died in 1204. Now, in conclusion, Eleanor of Aquitaine was a wonderful woman, even though she was imprisoned for 16 years. I believe that was all a hoax. And so I believe this is a very good representation of her. It's called The Lion in Winter. It's a movie. So, and I believe you can watch it on YouTube if anybody wants to go and watch this movie afterwards. This is the picture of her, and then that's Henry. And so it's a very good representation. So, thank you.